A long time ago, when humans diverged from apes, another species emerged, often forgotten in the mists of time. Throughout history it lurked in the shadows, relentlessly pursuing wealth. Though a few rare souls triumphed in their quest for greatness, most were devoured by insatiable greed and the fear of missing out. Chasing this elusive fortune, they lost grip on their hard-earned savings, and even when they somehow made a gain close to $1 million, it was only a matter of time before they lost everything, spiraling into debt. And it is my honor to present to you a trader who wasted years of savings, his golden ticket to live off of passive income. He goes by the name of Captain Huddle, and Diamond Hands broke him. He's down by 97% or $623,282.67 and is left with merely $16,000. To be fair though, he started off slow and even got into profit twice, before his account literally fell off a cliff into oblivion. But this is an all-time chart, meaning that he might have been losing money for years and it just looks like he lost it in a flash. Sadly, that's not the case, because about $500,000 of the losses have been made in the last 24 months. And to make it worse, the chart doesn't even do justice to his two gains, which honestly look tiny. Because you see, on the first spike he was actually up around $200,000 as a result of buying Disney, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon and OTC. And the second spike was Disney again, more specifically when Disney Plus numbers were released. His account was up around $70,000 to $90,000 at the time, and he believed that Disney stock would add a lot more valuation to its own using Netflix as basis. Instead, it went sideways and down. But that wasn't even close to the worst losses. He just kept buying options in stocks he liked, with some of them suggested by WallStreetBets. And here's where things get interesting. April 2022 was the beginning of the real storm. For the next 24 months he lost $500,000, and although for the first 6 or 7 months the stock market as a whole was falling, it has been on a very consistent bull run since then. So it makes me wonder what kind of stocks and options was he buying that he lost so much, when he could have made at least $75,000 if he bought the S&P 500 index. Well, he chose Tesla, which is down by about 50% since then, Snap down by about 59%, Disney down by about 26% and Ford down by about 30%. But that still doesn't explain why he's down by 97%. And I think this comment explains it best. When he first started, he had massive unrealized gains and sold for $60,000 of profit from opening the position with just $3,000. But as luck would have it, the next day the same trade was worth over $100,000. I mean, just imagine turning $3,000 into $60,000, which is an absolutely insane gain, only to then find out that if you just held the trade for the next 24 hours, you could have made close to $1 million. And that's what separates traders who can take profits from those chasing imaginary gains, losing thousands in the process. Needless to say, he's a part of the latter group, as he cursed himself for selling too early. Another example was Meta 6 to 9 months before expiry calls, which he sold again for a profit when it had a decent bump, but before it really exploded. The same thing happened with his other trades, and despite apparently making consistent profits, he wanted more. He started buying more options, and instead of taking profits, he held until the bitter end. Now, to make it even worse, he never inherited or has been handed $1. The family he comes from has little money, and he earned every dollar on his own, working for the man for 10 years only to then lose most of it. Luckily though, he's doing a lot better career-wise, as it will only take him a year or two to truly earn his losses back. Now, it hurts me to say this, but there is another trader who completely annihilated his opportunity to live carefree. Yet, in contrast to the first trader who lost his hard-earned money, a trader who lives up to his name of Degenerate 702 was handed a golden ticket only to lose it in a a flash. You see, 3 years ago he sold his AMC gains for about $900,000 of profit, but just 7 months later he lost it all. Why? Well, because there was a stock called CEI, the stock that was pumped on Twitter, so he slammed it all on that with a bad entry and it plummeted after. You see, in August of 2021 the stock was trading at just a little more than $17, but in a span of just 2 months it exploded to as high as $218. Now when you see a stock run up by 1282% in just 2 months, literally going straight up, what is your course of action? Well, of course, go all in, because it's definitely going to continue going straight up. You know, buy high, sell low. Naturally, just a day after the peak he posted his position being worth $278,000. From then on the stock just continued dropping to about 17 cents. But he luckily got out at a loss and slammed it on BKKT, a stock that just a month after his recent endeavor jumped straight up by 144%. Once again he heard that quiet whisper in his mind. What if it continues going straight up, forcing him to jump into a stock at more than $1,000 only to watch it fall down to $90 in the coming months. And on top of that, his ex-GF left him shortly after, so he said USA and left to live in Thailand and Bali for a year. But even though this loss is already absolutely insane, even for WallStreetBets standards it gets worse. You see, he doesn't have any money left and is actually negative, as he owes money to his broker, credit cards and taxes, so he's probably gonna file bankruptcy soon. But for every 2 traders who can't even keep the money they've made, yet alone make gains, there is at least one trader who completely isolates himself from greed and deep in himself finds a strategy to make unfathomable gains. One such trader goes by the name of Bro, and he finally got to that elusive 3000% gain on his Roth IRA. Just the fact that he started with about $9,000 and turned it into $271,000 in a span of just 7 months makes this gain even more insane. And to find out how he did it so consistently, let's go 7 months back when he made his first 300% gain. At the time he made most of his gains from trading SPY 2-week still expiry calls and a little bit from Costco calls, which he decided to hold through earnings. A month later he lost about $13,000 on an AMD calls YOLO. Now the funny thing is that this same position was worth a little over $22k at open, but he decided to hold it during the day and then it just expired worthless. Yet it only took him about 2 months to get his account to $99,000. And he did that by buying Taiwan Semiconductor calls, which jumped up by 141% in just a day. Now in the following 2 months he lost most of those gains, but with an overnight 74k gain on Apple calls he got his account above 100k once again. Although because his account was now worth about $118,000, he only made about 18k in those 2 months. Another month later and here we are, a $263,000 gain. What's gotten him here has been pure luck. He has zero clue as to how he's been so consistent, as he looks for value and scalps SPY. No, but in all seriousness, what he likes to do is see how the trend is for the day, then buy 200 to 400 SPY $1 out of the money options. So he would trade with anywhere between 6 to 24k. He would either sell at a 10% loss or immediately after a 5 to 6% gain, or even hold and sell midday for a bit more, basically depending on how the day looks. And he's mostly doing this on CPI and Fed days. He holds positions for only 40 seconds or maybe 2 minutes unless there is a Fed talk midday, in which case he'd hold for a couple of hours. He's had some trades where he catches a green candle and makes 2k in just 10 seconds. On top of that, the night before the CPI he'd buy some long dated calls and only risk 5 to 10k on those, so if he loses it's only 5%, but if he wins it's 60 to 70% gains. Now this next trader turned just $400 into $23,000 in just 2 days. He goes by the name of Producity, and in the past week he's up by 5,600% or $23,110, bringing his account to $23,521. And he did that by firstly turning $400 to $1,300 with SMCI calls, and then he went all in on AMC calls. He bought bought them on May the 13th with an expiration date in just 4 days. That was on Monday, and he sold just a day later on Tuesday when the stock jumped by 31%, timing the top perfectly. And last but not least, I present to you a trader who goes by a wooden price 4694. He is down by 99.70% or $93,704 and is left with just $284. To be fair though, he at least didn't lose all his money at the very start of his investing journey, but he did lose most of it in a very short time. He lost 80k in the last 3 months by trading a bunch of out of the money options. Now you see, before this huge nosedive he was down by about 50% or $12,000 and he was going to quit, but something convinced him that he was going to make that money back. 3 months later, it's finally time to quit. Goodbye, WallStreetBets. And if you want to see how this trader made $5.7 million from a single trade, click on the video just popped up. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching.